Hello, everybody, and thank you for listening to another. Wow, I messed up the intro. I never mess up the intro. I'll probably just keep this though. Hello, everybody, and thank you for listening to another episode of the No Fluff MSP Marketing Podcast. I'm your host, Taher Hamid, and I'm super excited today. I've got Scott and Eyan over at ITS. Dude, really appreciate y'all being on.
Of course,
Yeah, of
thanks for
course.
having us.
Yeah, thank you. Definitely happy to be here and share our experience of being an MSP Camp member.
Nice. Yeah, this is the member series. Stoked to have a member series because, I just want to hear what everyone's doing. I've been talking to more members than ever, and it's just fun. And I love hearing what everyone's doing, giving advice, getting advice, which I love too. Like some people have done stuff that I'm like, oh my God, I didn't even think about that. And just bringing that to the rest of the membership. So I kind of want to throw back a little bit. I remember when we launched the podcast like 2 years ago, actually, like right now. So that's kind of cool. And Scott, you and Stanley reached out, and it was like week 1 or 2 of us even launching MSP Camp. So it was a couple months into the podcast. And I just remember it was like, I don't know, it was the first time I realized that the podcast was helping people. Because like we jumped on a call and y'all were just like stoked. Y'all were stoked about the podcast. Y'all were stoked about growth. It was just it was a great conversation. It really it validated what we were doing. And honestly, early validation like that is super important. So not saying if we didn't have that conversation, I wouldn't keep going, but it was nice to have that moment of clarity. And I appreciate you, Scott, for being one of the people behind that. So just wanted to tell that quick story for the members. You guys are one of our longest running MSP Camp members. So I just really, really appreciate that, man. I really do.
Well, thank you for the shout out. Stanley found you guys actually, and it was just a gold mine. So, Stanley was primarily focused on sales, and I come with an engineering background, so we're like, oh my gosh, finally, like someone we could listen to about marketing in our MSP who has like direct experience with account management, actually doing the correct marketing because we provide our biased opinion on it. And that was honestly what's great about bringing in Eyan, which when we prepped for this meeting, it was actually very insightful to hear how he's grown and how the B2B market is a lot different than the B2C, which what he studied. But I don't want to jump to that quite yet. I definitely want to talk about our experience, but yeah, happy to support. We definitely listen weekly. When Eyan got on, I'm like, you got to go all the way back and listen to every single episode of MSP Camp.
Yeah.
It's definitely one of the best ways to start training, a new marketing person, specialist, or even a part-time intern, perhaps.
Dude, nice. Appreciate it. Yeah, and I was stoked to hear when you brought Eyan on. I saw Eyan was just all up in the website, which I also love to see. I can see people's tags. It shows me like how engaged they are with how many tags they have. You open Eyan up, it's like
Oh,
all the
nice.
tags. I'm like, yeah, all right. So before we kind of dive into the nitty gritty, I do want to hear a little bit about, ITS Telecom. Give me a little bit of background as to, y'all's story and really anything you want to share before we dive in.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's a rich history. So we started in 1990. I think a lot of MSPs followed a similar path where, they were telecom, selling internet and bandwidth, big call center, tons of sales reps, really
Mhm.
providing, something that everybody needed, which was phone and internet services. So it was a very different kind of corporate model, very, centered around billing and making sure that, finances were strong as well, and having, a ton of salespeople.
Mhm.
So that went on for a really long time successfully. And then around 2012, I think is when we transitioned into, let's get into the IT space. We have all this technical knowledge with phones and networking, and, we're doing all this finger pointing. So why not tell the client, hey, we're going to provide peace of mind because you can just call us for all of your issues, top to bottom, whether it's the internet, network, as MSPs, you guys already know what I'm talking about. So
Mhm.
that's around 12 years ago we started doing that, and in that time period we've built up a pretty good base of loyal MSP clients who kind of came on in that early period when we still had a strong sales force. They were still getting a lot of phone and internet sales, but I think 10% of our base started to become that managed IT space, and that's really where I see kind of the future of ITS growing. It's harder and harder to compete with all these amazing phone providers. There's great internet options. I mean, people are getting Starlink So you're seeing a lot of change, and I just think that riding the MSP wave with all the IT services and cybersecurity is really kind of where we can provide the most value to the small medium businesses in our local area.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And I love that you have that perspective. And, I see that obviously with telecom, but also with the printers and copier companies starting to move in managed services. And there's one in our local area called Boring. And, they're like the largest printer copier, I think like in the Central Florida. It's huge. They've been around since like 1920 or something. And they started getting the MSP space. And I was like, if I own that company, that's exactly what I would do. That's exactly what I would do. Why not? Like copy and printers kind of somewhat on the decline, and managed services and cybersecurity is definitely on the incline. So of course I need to do that. The funny thing is though, they must have had some really they must still have some really terrible salespeople, because we haven't lost a single client to them. And I'm like, man, if I had all of these copier and printer leads that I'm going in and talking to anyway, the number I could convert to managed services, because hey, one call, one phone, one number to call, it's like a huge advantage, just like it's a huge advantage for you guys. But they're not doing the marketing and sales right. But they are a behemoth either way, so they're doing something right. So I love that you have that perspective. I couldn't agree more. So let's dive into a little bit into the marketing strategy that you guys have over there. Can you share a little bit about the changes you made in the last maybe 3 to 6 months around your marketing, and maybe any changes or thoughts for the next 3 to 6 months?
Yeah, I mean, since Ian's hitting the 6-month mark, I'll kind of talk about where we were before that, and then sort of what we've been able to accomplish. Ian can talk about, because that kind of lines up into our 2024 initiatives.
Nice.
But I would say, a lot of the marketing was inconsistent, and that was our biggest flaw. So whether it was posting videos, even if it was reposting video content that we were getting from you guys or the Tech Tribe, inconsistent emails, we weren't doing newsletters. I think social media was pretty much non-existent for almost a year or two, which just because we didn't think it was quite that much value at the time. We had a small social media following. We weren't getting leads. It was a lot of employees or past employees who were following us. But we've sort of changed our mentality about that. We don't want to just rely on 100% word of mouth, which is kind of how we've got all of our clients in the past. Our telecom clients who were an upsell into MSP were great, and then the ones who did refer us to those other 10, 15, 25 seat shops, those were also very ideal as well. But the idea now is to build up the marketing machine, get the flywheel spinning, make sure that the other 90% of our clients understand that we have other services, not just phones and internet. The last note I'll make about that is, I think so many of our existing clients thought we were just another, phone company, that we were just, people that wouldn't show up, that people, you couldn't call and get advice on how to set up your PBX or your phone tree or anything like that. They didn't even know we had IT services or could talk about cybersecurity or MFA or, those phishing emails you're constantly getting. So marketing has been huge to get people's awareness to the ITS brand and everything that we're all about. So that's kind of like where we're going. But, Ian, if you want to piggyback off this and sort of talk about, now what we're doing and what our 2024 looks like, I think that would be appropriate.
Yeah. So I'd say for like our big initiative for 2024, it's a lot more going to be staying focused, as Scott said, on like creating a larger presence on social media. So by being able to post every single day, making sure to have video content posted regularly on YouTube, sending out those weekly email blasts, focusing heavily on SEO and our website, like creating blog posts, also starting to create more company events and webinars is something we've been liking to do.
Nice.
As well as developing our own content creation studio, since we're moving businesses soon to a different location. So that's something that's in the works at the moment.
Nice.
We're also really excited about having that come to fruition. But one thing that we'd like to start doing as well is attending a lot more conferences and networking more there as well. But I'd say those are like our main goals for this year and potentially next year as well.
When you have those weekly emails going out, when you have events that you're scheduling, when you have a nice website that you've put a lot of emphasis on, now those events are going to do more. Because when you go to an event and you don't have email nurturing, you don't have a good website that can convert, you don't really know how to market, what talking points to hit on when you're in front of somebody. It's a lot harder. But when you have a machine, even a simple one, ongoing nurturing emails that when you talk to somebody, they're going to hear from you every week. It doesn't have to be sales. It just has to be something to stay in front. You get that machine and these things that you can do on top of it just add to the fire, add to the flywheel. So that's really great to hear. When you say SEO, I love that. I'm a huge proponent of SEO, and I still am today. We're still seeing lots and lots of results from MSP Camp members and people's websites that we directly manage for SEO. So what is your thought process on SEO? What are some things that you're planning on doing around SEO?
I mean, that's a great question. Obviously, I think when we have these targeted campaigns and we have a specific audience and a vertical, having those dedicated landing pages and making sure, those 3% of people that actually are looking for IT services at that time are going to find us. And we've actually started to see that trickle in the past couple of weeks.
Nice.
It happened to fall upon a period where I was out, but it was great that the team was still able to kind of take on a discovery call, schedule an initial site survey, get one of our other, lead engineers out there to kind of get an initial assessment. But, people actually found us on our website, which hasn't happened in probably 2 or 3 years. So I think it's been, a lot of the focus content, making sure that we're doing the local SEO. We find that extremely important on top of, having a place to go when we're sending out emails to register for an event or scanning a QR code on, the back of the newsletter, or trying to answer, what our trivia question of the month is so you can get the $50 Amazon gift card. That's all roads lead to the website, as we say. So
a true listener, man. I love it, Scott. And that's one of the most beautiful things is, a lot of people say SEO doesn't work for MSPs, and they also say that about every single marketing strategy out there. And oftentimes they'll hire an SEO company for $500 a month instead of doing it in-house. And instead of investing in an SEO company, that's a lot more money that might actually provide results. And so they go, oh man, yeah, someone said they were doing SEO. It's like, well, what were they doing? It's like, oh, they were posting a blog a week. It's like, that's not really SEO. Like, what keywords are they targeting? Like, are they, is there any value? And look at you guys. You guys already got some inbound leads from your website from this effort. And the most beautiful thing is when those leads close, or when any of them close, now you have a direct ROI to your marketing. And you can say, okay, I would not have had this $1,500 a month or whatever if it was not for the marketing initiatives that we're doing. And that's one of the greatest fuels on the fire when it comes to marketing, because you can show the owner, you can say, hey, look, numbers, brand awareness is valuable. Trust me, I spend a lot on brand awareness. I think it's valuable and it absolutely leads to an ROI. It's just harder to track that ROI. So the more marketing initiatives we can do where it's like, this created this, that's how you get the executive, the owners really on board. So I just love to hear this path that you guys are on. That's amazing.
Yeah, no, it's been exciting. I think we redid our website about 2 years ago now. And just to see finally our traffic start to climb, seeing a decent amount of visitors that, seems worth the effort. We'd like to see a lot more. And now the exciting next step is our conversions, getting those prospects in the door. It's quite a competitive market, I would say. And I think the surprising thing about our general area is just, people's expectations are a little bit different, but we don't necessarily get into that. I know this was an SEO question.
Yeah, that's good. And a little bit of emphasis on the local SEO aspect. Google My Business is still a powerhouse of value for local SEO. Even with all these MSPs having Google My Businesses now, which when I did it, very few. So I just got all these free leads. It was amazing. But still today, even though I've been preaching on this podcast for 2 years, people will get their Google listing, they'll get 10 reviews, and then they'll stop. And they'll ask, how do I get more inbound leads? That's not the only way to get inbound leads, obviously, but it's a huge way. And an example of this, a MSP Camp member paid their techs $100 for every 5-star review they got that included the tech's name. Overnight, they got 30 new Google reviews. I think they're up to like 80 now, which 80 doesn't sound like that much, but they're crushing in the market. When someone searches, they're in the top 3 of the map pack. And they just closed a $2,500 a month deal in 48 hours. That was Aaron from Global Quest. And so in 48 hours, they paid for that entire initiative, and that's going to pay every month. So it's just things like that where we gotta, when we know something is going to work and can work, maybe not is, I said it's an inevitability that'll work, and I got some flack from a member, which I get. Nothing's inevitable, but it increases our likelihood of success quite a bit. Then we need to be able to invest in those things, and I love that that's what y'all are doing. Eyan, what is your, because I remember I love that we talked about how you kind of studied business to consumer. What has been your experience and thoughts and tips for other coordinators and owners and vice presidents looking to hire a coordinator? I know it's a big question, but what is your experience and thoughts marketing in MSP so far, 6 months in?
Honestly, I'd say it's a pretty big learning curve for me,
Mhm.
at least mainly because that's what I was taught like during my studies, from which I graduated late last year, where I mainly learned business to consumer marketing.
Mhm.
But this being my first position freshly out of university, so I've been working here for almost 6 months. But as I said, it's been a pretty significant learning curve, because marketing for an MSP is solely like business to business marketing rather than business to consumer, which is what I mainly like grew accustomed to.
Mhm.
Basically, what I've learned is that it's definitely nowhere near as easy to get conversions through marketing efforts as opposed to business to consumer marketing.
Mhm.
Like business to business marketing is much more focused on creating like very long term cycles, where we use education to teach businesses about our various services and then how we can create efficiency for them. And
Yeah.
then with that information, we find a fun and engaging way to convey it, to the decision makers. So it's a lot more about creating like an interpersonal relationship with businesses and showing them that we're not just some like corporate entity that's here to sell them stuff.
Yeah.
Instead, we're just like here to be like almost as a business partner for them,
Yeah.
and showing them that we're actually like people who are here to help tackle some of their business needs and help them sleep better at night by providing them with like excellent like white glove services and ensuring that all their specified needs are met, without like any complaints such as like tech support, cybersecurity, phone and internet services, and more. But I've been very fortunate to have a lot of resources available to me, to learn a lot more about business to business marketing. To start like being under the wing of Scott has been very invaluable to me in my development. Additionally, I'd say I've taken multiple online courses, I've read online guides, listened to podcasts, attended webinars. Some honorable mentions being like the MSP Camp and the No Fluff MSP Marketing podcast, as well as the Tech Tribe, Paul Green's MSP Marketing podcast, just to name a few.
Nice.
But overall, I'd say I feel like I have a lot more room for improvement, but I try to find more avenues to gain knowledge. And I'm also really excited to have joined like the MSP Grow group that's been happening recently,
Nice.
and learning about like from all the people that are involved who have like way more experience than I do in the field. Um, yeah, other than that, marketing for an MSP has been like a really fun learning journey for me so far. And I feel like every day always has like new challenges to face and things to achieve. And I always look forward to what the future brings for that.
Man, good shit, Eyan. That's awesome. Did you get your 12 pledges printed out yet?
Oh, yeah, I've seen that. Yeah, I have it printed
Yeah, I
out
gotta
too.
get you. We gotta get y'all a couple. That's.
Hmm.
I'm like, I look at it every day. It's on my wall. I'm like, I'm actually
Hmm.
quite happy with that because it's like it's 12 points. It's not that complicated.
Yeah,
Just
it
boil down
helps.
all the hours and hours and hours and hours of content on MSP Camp and the podcast and put into like these 12 points. I'm like, if somebody could just do these 12 things, again, I don't want to use the word inevitable, but chances are very high we're going to see success. So, man, that's so great. One thing I do want to, an observation I've had fairly recently around B2B versus B2C. And I've come to realize that it's actually not the difference between B2C and B2B. And it's taken me a long time to realize this. It's just the difference between low ticket and high ticket. So oftentimes B2B is high ticket, just like anything, I would say consider high ticket anything over like $1,000. So almost every managed service contract is high ticket, which is why the marketing is different and why the sales is different, because it's high ticket. Longer sales cycles, bigger contracts, more decision making, more people involved. But the minute you get in a B2B low ticket, something like MSP Camp, for instance, it's $97 and then it goes up to $297. And then we have high ticket things. And again, with the high ticket things, I don't even market it the way I market the lower ticket things because it's totally different approach. Because we're B2B and it's just as easy to market MSP Camp as it is a B2C company. And that's not because we're not B2B, it's because it's low ticket. And it's made me really realize lately, especially as I'm looking for initiatives for all tech as we want to hit 10 million, is I want to think of a low ticket thing for all tech and for other MSPs, where how can we do a low ticket offering in the MSP space? Because then the marketing becomes extremely simple, just like it is for MSP Camp and other low ticket business to business services. Think about Zapier and other B2B things that their marketing is just as effective as B2C, just as easy to track an ROI. Campaigns are successful when you run a campaign, et cetera. It's because it's low ticket. It's a good product. And so, not to like think mind dump on you guys, but it's like I really think lately it's more about the ticket price than it is B2C and B2B, because the same funny shit that works in B2C works in B2B. Exact same content, right? Humor works B2C, B2B. Advertising works B2C, B2B. It's just so much more expensive in the B2B world and so much more time and effort and sweat equity versus B2C. And so I was like, man, if we could just create a security stack, this is what I pitched them recently, where it's like, all right, you know, you look at like Kaseya's all-in-one platform, where it's like the RMM, the backup, the MDR. It's like some crazy amount of thing. I know everyone hates Kaseya, but it's like, you know, and it's like $5 an endpoint or something. I'm like, hey, guys, I think this is a massive opportunity to come in with a low ticket offer where it's like, hey, for, you know, $300 a month, we're going to secure your endpoints unlimited, right? Maybe not unlimited, but something crazy where the offer is like, holy shit, this is easy. And then they just book a call because they're like, I haven't seen anything like this. And then you get in the bare minimum because now you're in a low ticket marketing environment. And then just like when we have a bunch of telecom leads and a bunch of printer copier leads, we upsell because we have a really strong account management process. So I don't know, just kind of want to do that a little bit because it's something I'm thinking a lot about because I see these B2B companies where it's like, oh, wait, their marketing is just as easy. I look at MSP Camp, we got like 20 leads last week. And I'm like, man, if an MSP could experience something like that, imagine the growth that we could see. But it's not like that. Instead, it's like 1 lead a week. That lead is worth significantly more, but it's still 1 lead a week. So anyway, just kind of want you to think about that a little bit, Ian, too, as you're going through your studies and Scott. And like, is there some opportunity for a low ticket offer that we can use for upsell versus a $2,000 a month, you know, high ticket managed services, you know, complete. So anyway, any thoughts on that, guys?
I mean, it's definitely something good to prototype. So we've sort of always looked at managed services as sort of a catch-all, right? It's eliminating the finger pointing. We, you know, started a couple of years ago. We had this diagram and explained the connections between your internet and all your network devices and even your phone. And it was a very visual, easy to understand for a business owner way of looking at managed services. Because yeah, we'll definitely upsell the telecom leads. We'll upsell the bandwidth leads as well. You know, a lot of people do need faster internet. The ones who are willing to pay for that really fast internet probably have an in-house IT department. You know, so you kind of get some conflicts when it comes to how you're able to upsell, you know, those different target audiences, let's say. But we definitely are going to want to prototype that. I think when I've had conversations during discovery meetings or initial IT assessments, and I'm sort of breaking it down per user and throwing them out a number like, hey, you know, it's going to start at $100 a person a month. You know, it obviously, you know, does go up from there because they realize they do want, you know, all the MFA and the security awareness training and the other tools that you're going to add on. So as far as the base managed services, you know, their base Microsoft subscriptions, all the security, they're kind of been comfortable with that number. So I feel like they'll see the contract and we'll see the breakdown of our, you know, 3 different plans. And here's what the total is based on the number of employees. But I found that telling them the per user is just a little bit more comfortable for them. But again, that's just our all-inclusive managed services and not, you know, what you're saying is just like a piece of cybersecurity, but it could be, you know, great way to start.
Yeah, just to get in the door. Like it would never be something we want to pitch to current clients and everything else. But I don't know, I've just been thinking about that because it's like, I don't know, the low ticket versus high ticket and the B2B versus B2C. It's almost like if we scrap the B2B and B2BC and B2C, the marketing is actually super similar. It's like extremely similar because I've marketed B2C, B2B low ticket, B2B high ticket. And my favorite thing of all is B2B low ticket. I mean, it is like way, way easy to do. So awesome, man. We really appreciate you all on that. So Scott, talk to me a little bit about what made you start looking for a marketing coordinator manager. Like what or marketing coordinator / manager, what was that thought process, and can you help members get their own arms around it?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Yeah, as anybody who's ran a managed service provider, you're putting on so many different hats.
Mhm.
And when you're constantly changing those out, you're going to miss things. You're going to have inconsistencies. There's simply not enough time in the day, right? All these requirements we have as human beings, we'll need to meet. So having a growing team and people that you can delegate these tasks to, that can do it just as good as you, if not better, was obviously what we wanted to find. So
Yeah.
it was a long process to find the right person. Yeah, no, it's simply not more than that. There's just not enough time.
Yeah.
And we needed to focus more on the sales and supporting our existing clients.
Yeah.
And yeah, I feel like he's been able to steer the ship and get that marketing machine going pretty well.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'm huge on that. Like delegate. Like when we look at how much the executives are making, and it's like for someone to spend, that's literally how I do my time management, is like, if I spend an hour on this, how much has the company just lost when I could have been spending that hour somewhere else? Like opportunity cost is always like top of mind. And like right now, I mentioned we had 20 leads from last week. This is so sad to say, but I haven't called any of them. None of them. Now they're getting my emails, right? I got ongoing email nurturing, but it's like if I spend I'm on the call with a low ticket, right? This is where low ticket and high ticket comes in, and they don't convert. I've now wasted an hour and they didn't convert, or 30 minutes or whatever. So I'm literally hiring a salesperson for the first time at MSP Camp, because it's like that person is going to get paid X amount. They can spend as much time as they want on the phone with people. And now we can actually do something with those leads, convert faster, and that person's going to pay for themselves probably in a month or two, right? So there's huge advantage in delegating to people like Eyan, who are sharp, and it can be what they focus on. It can be what they just live and look at all the podcasts he's listening to, crazy courses he's going through, like on our site. He's learning, and that competency builds the whole company. So I just love y'all's thought process there. What would you say, over the course of even years or generally, what would you say kind of is working, and what would you say kind of isn't working, but you want to put more attention to get working?
I think one thing we found is starting to work now that people are getting back in the office is that physical direct mail.
Oh, nice.
One thing that we're excited to try out is some of that lumpy mail,
Yeah.
stuff that people are going to throw away, stuff that's actually high value. One thing we also have kind of fallen short on, I think, is actually showing up. So part of bringing Eyan in is now going to give me the possibility to show up to our clients every week, right? Do random drop-ins, do more technology business reviews, or, just let's see how things are going with your business. That seems really important. Just showing up, being there, putting more content in front of them, and maybe even spending any on advertising. We've never put a significant, investment into advertising, whether it's social media, Google pay-per-click, or anything like that. But I think that could be something we, start to experiment with and build up, those actually weekly prospects that we're getting. Instead of 1 or 2 a month, it could be 1 or 2 a week. I think that's sort of where we'd like to go. Hopefully, that partially answers your question.
Love that. I'm going to show you. We're doing these LinkedIn lead generation things right now. It's wild. It's on the back of LinkedIn influencer ads. So it's not ITS running ads. I mean, it's ITS company ads page, but it's Scott's ads or Eyan's ads. It's wild. And it's way cheaper than running a company ad. And it shows up as organic content, but like really tiny. It says promoted by Taher. And what happens is, as people engage with that content, they go into different categories of engagement. Once they hit certain categories, then you can show them the lead magnets. You don't want to just show the lead magnets to the cold audience. You can say, okay, this person's engaged with my cybersecurity content. Now we're going to give them that ebook to download on LinkedIn. And all they have to do is click, I want it. And it gives you their email and it gives them the download. It's blowing my mind, dude. And then it goes straight into the CRM. So we're using MailChimp. Wow. Just goes boop right in there. And now they're getting our emails. It's like this beautiful system. I've spent $200 so far this month. and I've gotten 20 leads from it.
That's impressive.
It's blowing my mind.
Yeah.
We're doing it for 5 MSPs right now. So like, even if I get 10% of those results for a similar or even higher budget, it's going to be so worth it. So I will absolutely let you know how that goes. And I'll include a guide and everything and some videos on MSP Camp.
Sweet.
On the lumpy mailman, on the lumpy mailman, I would recommend sending out we're doing more of these like premium ones because I just know a lot of members don't do the premium ones, but I'm excited you guys are excited about them. So that's putting more emphasis on my brain to be like, we need to do more of these. But most of the time you do these premium ones, I look at no one's even downloading. I'm like, oh, I guess I'll just stick to postcards because everybody's downloading those, and they're still valuable. But the one that I am seeing working is the gift card one where it's got a physical gift card in it. Have y'all seen that one?
Yeah. Where it's $1,000 off or whatever off your MSP plan.
Totally,
Yeah.
you can make it whatever. But it's like I got it from ZipRecruiter because I loved it. They sent it and it said like 50% off your ZipRecruiter thing, whatever. And like I kept it on my desk for a year because I'm like, man, there's tangible value. And the same thing we found happened when we sent it out. It's like we sent it out and like no one did anything, and then like 3 months later, like, hey, so that could be a good one to try too.
Yeah. Well, sometimes it's just going to sit on their desk next to their existing MSP contract and, wait for the right time for them to maybe, get a couple different quotes or see who else they're more comfortable with.
Totally.
When I saw that campaign, I'm like, I know exactly who that's going to go to. I had a few previous clients that I knew I could probably get back with some different strategies like that. Just keep feeding them the content, never giving up on, getting in front of them so that they're always aware that, hey, ITS exists, Scott exists. Don't forget about us.
Totally. And light bulb moment for those listening is now, instead of Scott having to stress out and figure out what printer are we going to use, who do we send it to, is the list ready, do I have to clean the list, how many are we sending out, what's the budget, what's the results, blah, blah, blah. He gets to say, hey, Ian, this is the campaign we want to send. Here's an old list. Please clean it up. Make sure there's no current clients on it. Give me a couple quotes from printers. Let's send it out next week. So that's the true path of what gets to happen now. And that's what happens in my office all the time. Instead of trying to figure it out ourselves. Now we need to know how it's going and we need to know generally how to do it, but we don't have to get in the weeds. We set up the structure, we set up the process, and the Ians of the world, the highly competent, ready to run, want a good campaign initiative to do, gets to do it. So just proud of you, Scott.
Thank you. I would say the first thing you want to do if you do hire someone is make them listen to every single episode of No Fluff MSP Marketing. The second thing you want to do is teach them how to get MDF funds.
Yes,
From every single vendor. That's been crucial, right? Because if you could see actually, dollars coming in, and then you're like, okay, well, we have this much more wiggle room to kind of get some more, swag, get some more newsletters out, get some more direct mail printed, so we can operate kind of within, the budget we're working with. So. Yeah, that's been super cool to be able to use that and get someone who's focused on the process and having their quarterly checklist, their monthly checklist, weekly, daily, and really automating that side of it as much as possible. But yeah, get those MDF funds. Don't let those go to waste.
Dude, yes. And for anybody that just heard that and like, what's MDF or whatever, go to the episode on MDF because you might be scared hearing Scott say that and say, well, what if my campaign doesn't do anything? Your campaign 100% will do something because I show exactly in the MDF guide on MSP Camp and on the podcast, you can say, yeah, I upsell my clients your service because of this campaign. Like you can show over 3 months the chance of you adding $0 on the vendor that you are using the MDF for is like 0. So you can show an ROI from the campaign. So great point, Scott. Ian, have you got some MDF funds, Ian?
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, every month or every quarter we try to get some.
Good stuff, man.
Yeah.
Scott, you mentioned Neuralink or not Neuralink.
Did I?
Starlink.
Yeah.
I'm an Elon fan, so maybe not his politics, but definitely his entrepreneurial drive and world changing mindset.
Hey,
but
we can talk about Neuralink too, but that's
podcast too coming up now. So have you found that you can resell Starlink like other internet providers? Like, is that a marketing
What
opportunity?
Okay, so what we've found, we haven't resold it yet. We're actually just starting to kind of dabble in. Basically, we want to confirm that you can manage different locations from one dashboard.
Mm,
So we've been able to manage products in the past when we have a shared login, to our tech ops department. They're going to be able to log in and see every single location, but we just haven't necessarily confirmed. So I don't think we're doing any reselling as far as managing maybe a direct support relationship. We looked at the requirements. I think you have to sell like 10,000 units a year just to be like, be on their actual or official reseller list.
mm,
If you just buy the unit deployed at that site, I think there's like a $30 plugin you get to do like a conversion for the network adapter, so you can actually run your own firewall on it. So that's how you're able to deploy that as a redundancy solution, or actually sometimes it's the primary WAN solution when it's like some operation in the middle of the desert or wherever you can't get internet, or it's thousands of dollars to construct from another carrier. So yeah, to be confirmed on that. We definitely want to check it out, but excited about that technology, and it's been able to save us. It's better than 4G, I would say.
Nice. If there's opportunity there for getting your foot in the door, we're more than happy to create a campaign around that, because I mean, even if just you guys are using it first, but it could get other members understanding the value of potentially using it from a business development perspective and just making their life a little easier for customers. Let me know, man. We would definitely be interested in that, just because I personally find it quite interesting. So can you guys share a little bit about your experience being an MSP Camp member? It doesn't have to be all good. You could say, you can be honest, but
I mean, I would say it's been great, and that's honest, especially because you guys use Canva.
yes,
We were on Canva before we started working with you guys, so it was just like perfect timing. Oh, great, we're already organized in there. This is how our team collaborates. This is how the entire organization has learned to use. So that's been helpful, and then the content, has been spot on, as you would
nice.
say. I would say you do understand what MSPs need. That was where we struggled. Like, I wasn't going to spend the time to, build a postcard or any of the content that we've used, even some of the landing page development. We're just we can piggyback off of that, and that's just been really useful. So I say that the content has been 5 stars. The even the organization has been useful. How targeting by verticals versus targeting by services. That's how we've even organized our own internal files. So if a prospect is coming in, you can quickly understand, what are they looking for? Are they looking for a specific service, or do you know something about this client that they're part of a specific industry? And then you can get into those specific pain points, and then that is kind of just the formula for what are the opportunities off of that. Turning that into a quote quickly, passing that to a salesperson, identifying that. So the pain points have been extremely useful as well into building out our discovery forms, making sure that we do provide value when we do our sales, because we're a big value-based sales approach. So if we're checking off those needs, we can almost just regurgitate them to that decision maker and say, hey, these are all the problems that we're solving for you. We never want to say, hey, we're providing IT support and we're going to provide antivirus and endpoint security. It's like, no, we're making sure that you can take that vacation you want every summer. We're making sure that you can also trust your front desk person to not click those emails that you're constantly clicking. You can also trust that your internet's going to be working when you come in the morning. This is what the proposal is. So being focused on what those pain points and how you are actually targeting that has been good. So it aligns with our approach for sure.
Nice. But what about you, Ian? What do you think? Appreciate that, Scott. And I love that you're taking those pain points and opportunities, and not only from a marketing perspective, but from a sales perspective, because it's the exact same talking points. Like, that's where I got most of them, is every time I'm in a sales meeting, someone's, yeah, and they're talking about it and they're getting the head nods. I'm like, cool, that's a true. That made them happy. Let me write that down.
Yeah, exactly.
What about you, Ian?
Yeah, for me, I'd say it's been like a massive time saver and like a big help in my development. Yeah, like I said before, for B2B marketing. So when I was first onboarded, I was like immediately given access to MSP Camp, where, to my fortunate surprise, I had a ton of like already created marketing content for our various social media channels that were specifically curated for MSPs. as well as things like blog posts, emails, videos, and guides, which allowed me to like better focus my time on a lot more important tasks, such as like developing marketing strategies, creating email campaigns, MDF funds, creating company events, webinars, and more, while like allowing us to stay active on social media every day and grow our channel simultaneously with pretty much minimal effort, I'd say. But I'd say like creating social media content, animated videos, and guides can take up a lot of time. So it's really nice to have some fun content that's already created for us that we can just sort of pick out and make some small tweaks to it if we need to like better align with ITS and our services. I'd say also with like the newly added grow groups, I now have access to a bunch of other MSP marketing contacts where we all sort of meet online every week and set goals for each other to accomplish, and we end up holding each other accountable to completing these goals. And just being able to like sit down and listen to other MSPs and some of the areas that they're trying to improve on and their experiences in the field has been like very valuable to me in my development, as well as trying to like find things for myself to, I always like find things to like learn every single time I meet with them. Like learning things such as like what has worked for them, or like different websites that they suggest, different services that I can use to my advantage. But overall, I would say that being an MSP Camp member has been like a very great experience, and it's definitely one of the resources I use like the most in my day-to-day cycle as a marketing associate.
Dude, that's awesome, man. That's like, I don't know. Like, that's why I built this, literally, because I was the marketing person, and it was like spending hours and hours building content, but then I had to distribute the content and have enough time to like think about the distribution strategy of the content. And I wanted to do the event, but then like the social media posts wouldn't be going out, or the emails wouldn't be going out, and newsletter wouldn't go, whatever. It was like this constant back and forth. And I was looking at all the different content providers. I'm like, all of this is just like, to me, it felt very just generic and boring. I was like, this isn't going to work. And that's literally what set us on this path. So to hear now, 2 years later, the person that I was saying that this is helping them succeed in their role is like, seriously, probably one of the most satisfying things I could ever hear. So I just really appreciate it. I'll pay you that $1,000 I mentioned for you to say that. And
oh man, good one.
No, seriously though, dude, like y'all seriously just made my whole day. That's not why we did this podcast, because you guys have provided so much gold, but to hear you say that too, like, just seriously, I can't. Thanks. Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
Hey, we mean it. I mean, honestly, being able to find the right resources, use the right tools. I mean, that's what being an MSP is all about. Understanding technology and the right vendors and the right people who really understand what you're doing. And people who listen to this podcast definitely understand they want to grow and understand what they're doing. So,
nice.
We're in a good place to be.
Love it, man. Dude, you guys are awesome. Just really appreciate it. Scott, again, it's funny, when you signed up, man, we had 6 campaigns that were like, I look back and I cringe, because I'm like, man, it just wasn't enough there. And like now how much we have on the site, I'm like, man, Scott's kind of seen it all, from like this, we're going to give them a shot where they're giving us their content in this shitty OneDrive link that everybody can access, to like now this like actual platform we have. So just really appreciate you and people like you that gave me a shot early on and gave us a shot early on that helped us kind of get to where we are today and where we're going next. So is there anything else that you guys wanted to kind of hit on or touch base on? Any advice for listeners right now? I'm sure a lot of people that started this episode are still here. So if there's anything you wanted to say to them before we kind of wrap up.
I mean, I would say that, or there's a few things, honestly. One thing is, gamify. So how are we gamifying our marketing and even our participation in the grow groups and, taking on the learning? I think that is really a great way for all of us to hack our productivity.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that there's big things also on the horizon for MSP Camp, and how you're kind of able to, have a score, or, your participation is going to be tracked. I think that's going to be super useful for someone like myself, who loves video games and things like that, and collecting achievements and stuff, like,
yes.
Keeps the fuel on the fire. So, definitely excited to see that. One thing I want to circle back to on the beginning was getting those Google reviews. So we've tried a couple various campaigns. We've paid our employees, $50 for each person that they talked to, and they didn't even have to shout out that person, but they just confirmed, hey, there was the service ticket, and this is when I talked to them. So let me just submit it, and they get their gift card. That's been really awesome, and you can also use some marketing funds for that potentially. One thing we've also done is we've partnered with some of the local nonprofits. So in the past, maybe it's been like different foster youth organizations or different people who provide help for the unhoused. We would provide a donation on the behalf of that organization if they left a review.
Oh my gosh.
So when you're funneling them, through the ticket, and it's like, hey, how did we do? And they click on essentially our survey, there's going to be a big promotion banner on the side that pops up with that. Leave us a Google review. So we've tried different campaigns. We do promotions for our webinars or in-person events. So we kind of swap that out. But we may be looking to change that. I think the extra click to get someone on an extra site is a little bit more friction than we're looking. So we may be looking to paste the Google review into like the closed ticket, like, hey, just leave us a review on Google, right? That might be more powerful for us at this moment than leaving all these internal reviews, because we get so many gold star clicks every single week with, this technician did an amazing job. This person was so awesome. I'm like, dude, like, we know about it. Like, we can only do so many internal emails congratulating and like, boosting up our team and creating that positive culture, which is important. But like, hey, let's get that out. Let's get that out to the world. I think we have a pretty decent Google reviews right now, but let's get that well over 100 now. Can we get to 250? Like, why stop there? So
Totally.
Try partnering with a nonprofit, give a donation on behalf of that organization. Could work for you. And another point that actually made me think about it is someone who you turned me on to, which I think is Augment, doing their Microsoft 365 security assessments. So I think that is a great opportunity to provide maybe a low ticket item where maybe this $300, $500 assessment that is a giveaway or promotion if you come to our in-person event, where we just kind of need the keys to the castle real quick, and then we're going to go and do a little housekeeping and see, is this as good as you say it is? That could be good for maybe some of those co-managed opportunities where it's 100 people, 200 people, and that IT person is super overwhelmed. So just kind of having a professional company that can come and spot check their work so that they can go show their CEO or whoever's in charge, like, hey, everything's squeaky clean around here. Like, we're super good. We're going to work with this company and they're going to manage our IT. And I think their 365 is a great way to grow into other services. Maybe a lot of MSPs, but I know us, we're only going to work with the clients on 365 anyways. So that's why that's been a useful tool to sort of do that initial audit, get us in the door. And then it's like, oh, well, if you're finding all these security things, can we just call you when something's broken? And yeah, great. That's how you get that upsell. Yeah. And, one thing that I thought about trying, which we didn't fully implement, but maybe you could do because you're so great at video content, is using like Typeform's Video Ask tool, or their basically it's a process where you can have these automated questions. So like with Typeform, how you can have a series of questions that they answer and it's all kind of seamless and has a nice flow. You can do that with pre-recorded, essentially like, hey, what, if you wanted to have a discovery meeting, so those 20 leads that came in and you didn't have time to call them, maybe they got an email an hour later and it was like your face in a video that they easily clicked on. So we've tried to experiment with that. We've sent people actually like referral asks with a pre-recorded video of myself saying like, hey, personalized to this client with their name, and it's recorded to them, and saying like, hey, we'd really appreciate a referral. So we've tried a little bit about that, but we're thinking of pasting my face right on the homepage of the website, like, hey, what can I help you with? What are you looking for? And it's like, option A, managed services, B, any internet help, or maybe my phones are old, something like that. So those are kind of like the three things that I wanted to add on to the end.
And stuff like that, dude, are just so important. I hear almost as much shit about random acts of marketing as I do about growing by referrals only. And I will say both are good. Growing from referrals are amazing. Random acts of marketing are amazing, given some prerequisites, right? Like if we have the marketing machine going and we're being consistent with our marketing, that process is rock solid, we 100% should be doing random acts of marketing. We should 100% take that idea you just had and say, yeah, let's do it. Like, let's do it. Because I think people get in this think of, no, this is how we do marketing, that they're not willing to do a giant smash-a-thon event, or they're not willing to change their homepage quite a bit to try something new. And I think that's the kind of stuff that actually moves the needle in marketing more than other things. When I look back on our journey of All Tech and MSP Camp, some of our greatest growth came from a random idea I had that morning in the shower, or when I couldn't go to sleep the night before. So I just love that. I love that you have ideas like that. It shows that you guys, and just hearing both of you talk, especially you, Scott, man, and Eyan already for sure, but like, you're thinking like a marketer. How many times you said content in this episode makes me very happy, right? Like, we're thinking like a marketer. We're thinking about the flywheel. We're thinking about the momentum. We're thinking about the processes, the strategies, what's next steps, and what's the point of it all. So the growth. So I just love it. Love that conclusion, man. It was great. I did want to say, for anybody that's watching this video, I should probably address the fact that I have a black eye right now. I have a black eye. I do jujitsu as a hobby. So I promise I didn't beat anybody up. Someone definitely did beat me up, but it was consensual, or whatever. You guys want to say bye or anything?
See you guys. No, it's been great to reflect. We prepping for this meeting. We're like, wow, this is, we have done a lot. We have achieved something. It's not all for nothing. It sometimes is hard to keep going, but again, it takes a long time. So just be patient. It'll happen. We're an entertainment company first,
yes.
IT company second. That's
we're
really
taking the marketing
the motto now.
Yes, not a marketing company. We're an entertainment company.
Exactly.
Think about Red Bull. Red Bull doesn't even do marketing. They just do giant entertainment, and it works beautifully. Eyan, anything from you, man, before we wrap up?
I think Scott mentioned everything, but I just want to say thank you for, all the content you create for us and for you and your team. Very much appreciate it.
Dude, we're just so grateful to be able to do it. So thanks again, y'all. And we'll see you in camp. We'll see you around. Thanks, y'all.
Yep, thank you.
Yeah, it's been amazing. Thanks.
All right. Bye.